Welcome to another episode of Bridging the Gap podcast, where we bridge the gap between business, technology, and people. Today, we're going to be talking with Amber, and we're going to cover one of my favorite topics, which is making sure that your company is using data as the lifeblood of your company and really avoiding some of those things that can be the slippery slope in data, which, let's be fair, it's vanity metrics. So, I want to dive into that. Amber, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm excited to talk about this topic. Be on my mind this week too, so this is perfect.
Well, good. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I want to kind of dive right into, from the what you're doing, maybe on the day-to-day, even maybe a little, higher level, how you strategize, and then I want to dive into a couple of just like how we handle some of these things and making the company use the data.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm the owner founder of what I like to call a no BS lead generation agency. Like I get the phone to ring for my clients, and I do that in a very transparent way. I make sure that they actually understand what they're looking at. I try to, spoon feed them data so they can wrap their brains around it and help make informed decisions on, is this marketing channel working? Is this one working better for us? Like just getting them comfortable and involved versus just sending them a report every month. So I'm just going, here you go. Did my list, check it off, moving on. So yeah, that's me.
So in your clientele, because this is one of my favorite things, I think we have some fun overlap. I think we discussed that previously. Are your people already data curious? Like, are they already leaning in and wanting the data, or do you find that to be an area where you're having to like help them understand how important the data really is?
I would say my clients are 40% data curious. The rest are getting there. They're starting to pay attention now because they have to, and they're asking more questions, which in turn, I usually present data like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. This is why we made these choices, and just getting them in that conversation. And I feel like business owners are definitely getting more comfortable and more curious as, modern times keep moving and
Do
all
you
of
think
these
that's
new
just the
tools coming
AI
out.
wave? I mean, is it just the AI thing that's pushing it, or do you think there's something else behind that?
I think it's a little of both. I think AI is a big push. I think a lot of people see, they see these new services popping up. They're getting cold outreach from clients who are, brands are like, oh, we sell this and that. And then they're like, what does that mean? And then I kind of pull them back down and go, this is what they're talking about. We're already doing it. Like, just trying to help people just weed their way through the noise a little better.
Well, and noise is, I think, one of the most apropos ways of putting it, because marketing platforms alone, I mean, I think most people don't even do them because the platform to do it is confusing. And if they get in there and start poking around and twisting the knobs and flipping the dials, it's like I don't even really know what I'm doing back here, and if it's even going to have any use, let alone being able to make this be data driven and empirical to what they're doing. So how do you cover that for them to go like, look, this isn't about just knobs and dials. This is about honing in and using the data.
I think I like to, if they'll do it with me, like sit and do a screen share and like just talk a little bit. Like maybe good example is Google Ads. I have a lot of clients who've started their Google Ads on their own, and they're like, the phone isn't ringing, but they're taking my money every month. What's going on? And so I start to show them some of the stuff that a regular person wouldn't know. If you're not living inside of Google Ads every day, you wouldn't know this stuff. And so I think just kind of like opening that box, they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you don't want that setting on, just that kind of stuff gets them really open-minded, obviously builds trust because they know I'm not gatekeeping anything. Like
Yep.
this is what's wrong. Yeah, I mean, that's my approach.
For the curiosity's sake, I mean, you mentioned Google Ads. Are you kind of doing this across all platforms, all the paid and programmatic platforms, the Facebook and Instagram and everything else, or is there one that you just really hone in on, just for the sake of the conversation?
It it really depends on the industry. I would
Yeah.
say I'm more of Google Ads gal than Meta, but definitely have clients on Meta, just depending on what their offer is.
Okay. Yeah. And Meta's convolution is a whole other fun thing, but
Oh yeah, I'm like, yeah.
yeah, different podcast. Um,
Yes.
So when you're doing that, and again, I love the transparency because that's for us. Like I think we talked about, like I want my clients to know nothing we're doing is just this black box wizardry. Like you could do this. It's time and experience that's what's the reason that you aren't. Your core day to day job is not running ads. It's selling a product or selling a service or whatever it may be. Like that's obviously what they want to do, but they know to reach the audience, got to use these other platforms. I mean, they're
Yeah,
they're the amplification of getting their message out. So that's obviously why they come to you, because whatever they were doing or maybe not doing isn't working.
correct. Yes.
So when they get in there, like what does that look like for you to help them, especially if they, I mean, you say 40% is data curious. What are they curious about? I mean, when they're data curious, what are you experiencing for their curiosity versus what you would maybe even want them to be curious about?
Gosh, I feel like they're curious about, like, where's the lie? They
Uh,
know something's not adding up, and I have a very specific customer in mind who has a booking platform, offsite booking platform that all lead generation efforts, SEO, organic, social media, paid, everything's going there. And the conversion data that we're getting from the direct sources like Google, or Meta are not aligning with what their booking software is saying in a big way, in a huge, very, very shady kind of way. And I use this example because I've tried everything I can try on my end as far as setting up very custom conversions, getting Google tag in places where we should be getting information, and it's just not lining up. Um, and it's great because I brought this to his attention about a month ago. I was like, looking at these numbers, this report you're getting from the booking platform versus what I'm seeing, I'm like, there's this very wrong information here, and we need to have this conversation. So we've been having that conversation with the software company. And of course, they're like, oh, no, this is great. No, 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 blah, 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 you're wrong. And then he's got now like his accounting team involved going, well, actually, that can't be right because look at these numbers. These numbers aren't aligning so for that specific client, it's been like, what's incorrect here? Like, where's the lie? And I think we've pretty well, washed it out that it's clearly coming from that software, not whatever's going on. Like they don't have their stuff together. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing. And that's kind of common,
yeah,
especially I do a lot of tourism. And
yeah.
I feel like a lot of these like offsite booking tools, I don't know if they just, like, don't wanna give you too much access. I don't know what that is, but the numbers don't align spot on like they should.
Does that tend to fall more into like an attribution tracking concern on the front end of like, are we not capturing what we want to capture, obviously at the ad level, pulling it into plausibly even the website, but at some point that true conversion happens in that other software suite, and then the attribution, are they wanting to over attribute what's happened, under
Yes,
attribute what's happened?
they wanna over attribute what's happened, and when we're like, Okay, that much traffic didn't even hit the site that day. How are you claiming, this many sessions were lost?"
Yeah,
Basically.
which I think is just from a perfunctory point is the value of being data driven. You're not guessing, you're not, I don't know,
Yeah.
this doesn't feel, I mean, you could have the gut feel. There's nothing wrong with having the gut feel of like this isn't right, but when you can empirically point like, but this isn't
Yeah.
possible. How
Something's wrong.
how do you
Yeah.
combat that with someone who just wants to, I mean, maybe you don't. I mean, again, this is where you do start to get into a little outside your purview maybe, but like if you're running the ads and you're seeing the efficacy in the ad side, let's say working, but yet it's not translating all the way down into another system, and you're dealing with a client who if anything, the client's in the middle, right? You're
Yeah.
over here on one end, the software is on the other end, and the client's like, who do I trust? Who do I trust?
Yeah. I mean, normally the fix would be, okay, where's our redirect happen when the client puts in the credit card data? Like I can control what happens on that page. But this unique situation, I can't, there is not an option for that. It's just like a done, you're done type thing. No
Mhm.
checkout, redirect, nothing. So it's tricky. And I think I think the proof is when you're on the phone, we're on a meeting with these people, and I've been on a meeting now with my client and the software team at this booking platform, and they don't have answers. When we're like, why doesn't the data match? What are you guys actually tracking? Like, do you open up your API so we can dig a little deeper? And usually, if there's pushback, I think it's pretty obvious to the client where the problem lies.
Yeah, yeah, no, and that was a kind of a point I was about to head into. So you just segued us perfectly because I think that becomes an area of people put this air of sophistication on the front end that people see, but it sometimes turns into smoke and mirrors behind the scenes because that's why you end up with that. This is my opinion. I'm going to say my opinion interjected here. That smoke and mirrors and that black box magic that happens is because we don't really have anything I can show you. And thus I have to obfuscate and no, look over there. And like I
But
have
look
to,
at the clicks.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a bit of an irony because I think you and I talked about like, but where is the differential between tracking a value conversion versus a vanity metric? I mean,
Yeah. Or
vanity
bot
metrics do
tracking
make you feel
or
good.
yeah. Yeah, because I have another client who's like, "We're getting so much traffic," and I had to explain to him, I'm like, "That's great and all, but let me explain to you how many different types of traffic that could be a lot of not real traffic. That could be
Oh yeah.
whatever." And so it's just interesting. I feel like every client, brings its own unique changes and challenges, and it's fun to kind of I like to face them head on, even if I'm like looking at it going, I don't know what is the problem. I don't know what are we going to do. Like just dealing with it, just moving forward and finding a solution. And there's always a way around.
Yeah. How do you approach that? Like if you're dealing with, I mean, I know you can't really force another software company to really open up, the I think I used that term with you
What
before, that full kimono, like, oh, well, what's really going on behind the scenes
yeah,
of like they're
give
obviously
me
not
the
going to.
accent.
But
Run.
when you have to do your workarounds, if you will, workarounds, I mean, some of that has to be education, like to your
Yeah.
client, like, hey, this metric, it's not that it's not doesn't carry some level of value, but it's not what's yielding revenue. So you have to educate them. That was the vanity metric discussion of like, I don't care if you got a million people on your site. If they're not converting, I mean, unless you're just doing ad impressions and that's where you're getting paid, then good for you.
Right.
But I mean, if it's not converting, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, how do you get past the education point to get them again when we talk about that data curious? Because to me, and I'll interject with this. I think the data curiosity is like people are curious, but their curiosity needs to get honed into the curiosity of what matters.
Hmm.
Because I think a lot of the clients are curious. Half the time when they're talking with a consultant, they're clearly curious about something. They're not just bringing us in willy nilly to be like, sure, you seem like somebody I should just give money to. Why not? Like
Yeah.
there's some kind of curiosity driving them, but oftentimes, and I mean, I'm saying this for my sake, I have to really help them understand, like, yes, you're curious about X, but I really want you to be curious about Y.
I mean, you said beyond education or, past education. I feel like that's it. Like, that's it. Just, I try to speak very fifth grade about
Mm,
what is an impression, what is a click, was conversion, and a lot of things that help. A lot of times, what helps with clients is actually, I'm going to back up. Let's edit this out. I'm going to start over. Beyond educating the client, I like to take them sort of through a more visual approach at looking at the data. So
mm,
we might use heat mapping, Hotjar, just so
mhm.
they can get a more clear, like, aha, like, okay, great, cool. We got 10,000 visitors last month, but only 40 bookings. Let's see what something sucks on the website. It's either a poor user experience or we are missing the boat on a button that should be there and it's not, whatever that is. And usually that like blows their mind and opens a door where then they start asking more questions and they start wrapping their brain around it. And then they care more because they're like, wait a minute, people aren't even scrolling past the fold. And I'm like, no,
Yeah,
because there's too much copy on there that you wouldn't let me delete. So they don't want to read it,
yeah,
and it's great because it actually helps people see too, like the value in like short form video or explanative graphics, like things like that that people are like, no, just here's the copy we paid for. We had somebody write up like that's what we want on the site. So I think that it really gets their mind thinking in a different way where they can just receive information better.
I don't think I asked you this last time. I mean, I know we talked about the fact that you're executing ads, but you just touched on something that I actually find fascinating with some of the smaller companies, that fragmented fractional distribution of what they're doing because they kind of saw something somewhere and said, well, we need to do that. And it ends up causing this thing. So where I'm heading with that is like, oh, I've already paid somebody to copyright. Well, I've already spent that money. They've already made the cognitive choice to go give that person money. Well, I want to get the value back out of that. So I'm going to give it to this other person who's going to execute it. But there was no continuity between the two. And when you end up with that, I see a lot of that in, again, I say the smaller companies because they don't have the staff or the team, or they didn't bring in
Yeah.
a full agency. They're like, oh, you're a copywriter, fun. Oh, you're a digital graphic designer, cool. Like, but
Yep.
no cohesion.
Yes.
Do you deal
It's
with that a
so
lot?
so often, and more than anything, and I'm sure everyone listening to this can agree, ChatGPT copy,
Oh yeah.
which AI can definitely be supportive in creating copy, but AI is not you. AI does not know your target audience the way you do. They don't know how you say the things. They don't know how people develop trust around you, and that is the biggest problem. I just get, here, I just had chat write my website content, and I'm like, okay, this is, 10% of where we need to be, but this makes you sound like every other competitor in your niche that you're trying to steal what business from,
Sure.
obviously. And I think beyond that, people don't get clear, unfortunately, because I think, God bless entrepreneurs because they're what makes the world go round, but they don't understand defining their target audience,
Mm.
which if you haven't done that, your copy's already wrong. It's already, I think, 75% wrong. If you
Oh
haven't
yeah.
defined who do you want to walk through the door? Who do you want to sign a contract with? Because if you're not talking to them, your crap's all over the place. And it's funny because I don't want to say I push back, but I really encourage my clients, like, hey, have you defined this first? Like, really answered this question first. Because I usually tell them, like, I have a feeling in 6 months you're gonna reach back out to me after the site's got pushed live and you're gonna be like, this is wrong. This is all wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
happens all the time.
I think, again, I think you just touched on something that is so palpable today. Maybe even a little bit of the pandemic drive of it, or I guess to go home and now I got all these other ideas, and oh wait, now there's this cool AI thing that's going to just
Yeah.
do all this thinking
I
for
gotta
me.
get a
And
Mac Mini.
yeah, I'm gonna get this Mac. Now look, and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I think that's wonderful. I'm an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur. Like I
Yep.
love the fact that we want to do, but I do firmly believe too many. I don't know. I don't even know if I would stop and just say the small business entrepreneurs. I think there's some big businesses that do this too. They don't spend enough time thinking through who they're solving this problem for. They just think, hey, I got a hammer and everybody's a nail. Let's go.
Yeah,
Uh,
for
and
sure.
and because why would you want to? Like again, Chat
Yeah.
PT so fast, and I can do this, and my site's up, and I'm just like, I mean, we're making momentum. But to your point, you look back and you go, wait, that's not even what I wanted to sell, let alone the people I wanted to sell it to.
Yeah.
But why
Yeah.
would you want to do that work? Like, I'm not moving. That's not making me money. I'm like, but you got to go slow to go fast later.
Yes, I love that. You gotta go slow to go fast later. That's great. You need a shirt that says that. I love
Well,
that.
the thing I was going to say to you, because I have dealt with people of like, you talk about haven't decided on their TAM or their SAM or their SOM or their ICP. When I even say some of those things to them, they're like, I get that
Mhm.
weird look and they're like, my what now? And I'm
I
like,
get a
okay,
weird
well, if
look when
you
I
don't,
see the word copy
oh,
sometimes. They're like, "What,
well, you say
copy?"
copy, and they're like, I copy and paste all the time. I'm
I
like,
think
not what I mean. Not what I mean.
not what I mean, yeah.
And I say that to go like, just use the ICP, not even your TAM, your ICP. I'm like, if you don't know what that is, you're not just throwing darts and not even sure. Like you're throwing darts into a dark room and you don't even know if there is a target in that room.
Yeah. I think,
Like,
which is, I mean, it's a good problem to have. We live in this world of people who have these desires to go out and do something and build something, which is so cool.
love it.
And we've all been thrust into this world of like everyone can do everything. Just go to YouTube and you'll learn it. And so there's like this, like a preconceived notion that maybe like some people with these really great skills aren't as valuable because you could just learn it on YouTube. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, so yeah, it's again, your messaging will bring you the right people that have maybe already made these mistakes, or they're at least open to hearing that there's a better way to do it. Man, we got way off the data topic a little bit there. Sorry.
Oh, no, I think it's again, it's where the data topic meanders into this because you can't not. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's apropos. I mean, to be fair, I rarely even reference the YouTube DIY it, if you will, and that's actually an area that maybe was a blind spot for me as you say it, because I'm like, I'm so heavy thinking, I'm just gonna let AI do it. And
Yeah.
I keep telling people, I'm like, there's plenty of things AI is good at doing. I mean, it really is. I love AI. I use it all the time. I said,
Hmm.
but I know when it's doing something I don't want it to do. And I
Yeah.
think most people don't get the perspective that that's more valuable than getting it to do something you do want. It's knowing when it's doing the thing you don't want. But when you're relinquishing control to the AI of whatever flavor,
Yeah.
you're moving outside a realm of your knowledge and your expertise where you can speak into the domain, but you don't know if it's right or wrong. And I think this is going to personally, not for this to go where for the podcast to go, but I mean, I think this is where the AI bubble is going to cause the problems. People who are just like, no, 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 it's just going to do all the things for me. And then come back to
Right.
go, but people actually were more thoughtful because AI's job, if you will, is you asked it, you prompted it, let's be specific, you prompted it with a thing, it just gave you back an answer.
Yeah.
Its job is not to be creative and think, is that the right solution for the particular problem that you came at? And wait, where was your head and your philosophy? And like, why? It doesn't do that.
Doesn't do that. Yeah.
So,
I agree with you 1,000%. I did a podcast earlier this week and he asked me, "Are you afraid of AI, you know, putting you out of business?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not, because I think AI is going to be my buddy and do a bunch of research really fast that I don't want to do and put it all in a nice little spreadsheet for me.
yeah,
But AI is never going to replace the way humans think and feel, and the way we think and feel, and the things we genuinely create are what people are attracted to and they get inspired by. Do you read anything AI puts out and you're like, "Oh, I'm so inspired"?
yeah. Well, I
No.
mean, no, because I don't know if it's an applicable way to say it, but it lacks soul. Like
Yeah.
it, it doesn't have that innateness that I think it's why so many people when you read and some of the imagery is a whole other fun conversation, but when you
Oh,
read
yeah.
something like you can maybe a sentence or two like, oh, okay, that's thoughtful, but the more you read and read, you start going like, this is not thought through. It's
Mm-mm.
redundant, repetitive, regurgitated information because that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned this a moment ago. I had AI write the copy for my website, and yet I feel just like everybody else. Well, why do you think that's the case? Oh, that's right. AI was trained on the data that it read over there to go like, well, that's clearly what you want. Here you go.
Here you go. Yeah,
So,
totally. It's so true.
so I mean, I don't think that bringing the AI into the conversation, it's not going off tangent. I think it's apropos to the data conversation that we're talking about because too many people want to give the maybe I should say it this way. Maybe they're lazy. Again, I like lazy people because lazy people like to figure out how to not do the same thing over and over, but lazy to a fault now because we feel overconfident in what it is capable of doing. And I think it's where when the humans get brought in and can go, yeah, but did you realize it didn't do this, or it's not exposing this, or it's not accounting for this? That's where they have that moment of just like, well, I didn't even see that because they were getting their dopamine hits of like, no, I'm prompting and it's answering. I'm prompting and it's
Good
answering.
job.
It's like we're making traction. Look how this is going.
Yeah.
And yet
Yeah, it's
AI
funny
didn't care
because
what your budget was on Google Ads and said, what's the audience? And I've said this in the software development side. I'm like, sure, you can get it to write you a app. I'm gonna put that in all the air quotes, but more
Mhm.
often than not, it's really a prototype. But let's be facetious and assume it wrote you an app. Tell it to deploy it.
Tell it to beta test it and throw
Oh
up a
yeah.
demo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And
at what point do you go, "Oh, yeah, it's not gonna do what I actually want it to do?"
yeah, I know. I have a client who had Claude generate some graphics, HTML graphics. Fine. You know how much work I had to do to get that thing to actually work well and respond, and it's just like not on brand. Like just it's just annoying. Like just little. I'm like, okay, we should have done this a different way, and that's tricky. I'm like, I realized that this week. I was like, man, I gotta pump the brakes when this stuff comes over because it's throwing off my workflow. And it's great. It's I hate to hate on it because I think it's really valuable and I think a lot of people can do a lot of really great things at a faster pace, but it does give this like false idea of things and kind of muddies the waters a bit, you know.
I mean, I think the imagery thing is a great conversation, and I'll only say it this way. I use it all the time to generate stuff,
Mhm.
imagery, and, like, because what I'm trying to do is at least ideate and get the thing out of my head to see if, like, oh, once I can see something forming, like, is it going the direction I want?
Mm.
But when I want the finished product, I'll take all that ideation, even the prompts, and I give it to my designer, and I go, "Here's what was in my head, and it did a few things." And I'll even point out the things like, "Well, I like what it did there. This is dumb." And but it's a to a creative person like my designer, it's much better than me just going, close your eyes and
Yeah.
imagine. Let me tell you
Imagine a
what's in
line and yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. I've never used it from that lens yet. That's
I
nice.
mean, maybe there's your tidbit from when they give you the thing, you're like, this is good inspiration. Now let me help you think.
Let's make it real. Yeah. That's a good okay. That's a good thank you. Good tip.
But I say that to say, like, I think there are great use cases for it,
Mhm.
but then there are very inappropriate. It's not that takes it a smidge too far, but there's just bad use case. Maybe I'll say it there. There's just bad use case. Like, sure, you can put AI generated imagery out there. I see it in social media all the time.
Mhm.
And some people think it's funny and haha, but it still may not be landing. And I think
Yeah.
bring this back to be apropos. If we talk social media ads, I'm guilty of this. My designer was too busy on some other things, and we needed to get some ads out. I'm like, they just got to go.
Yeah.
And my ad, it was different product, different platform. That's not relevant to this topic, but I was like, I'm just gonna slap them out there. And like, I knew. Granted, I'm like so steeped in the technology, so I'm like, fine, but like I knew it's only like 60% of what I really want it to be. And I took this opinion on it. But something's gonna be better than nothing.
Yeah.
And that's at least gonna start getting the engines warmed up. Because I think if we talk about these ad platforms, they have their black box magic of they train the algorithm and everything. And I think it was just more of I wanted to get that proverbial flywheel turning.
Mhm.
I knew it wasn't going to be what was going to get it moving fast. But again, I took the something better than nothing approach, knowing we're going to refine it. Most people, I think, go, nope, that's it. And they're like, done. And they slap it out there. And then they come to someone like you and go, but you missed all of this.
Yeah. Well, or someone like you that's like actually look at the data going, okay, but do you see how these ads are performing? They're not compared to what the other ones were. So that's why it's important to have that data knowledge on your side.
From the from the execution and the data end, do you deal with any of the clients? This may put them into a little bit more sophisticated than where you had started, but do you ever deal with them who have like a, we'll say a data warehouse, or maybe they already have like a CDP system or something where you do have something a little more robust that you're getting to deal with, or your client's a little smaller and haven't quite thought of that yet?
For the most part, a little smaller. I do have a couple enterprise clients who do have like a full IT stack team that's monitoring a lot of that. So for me, usually, if that's the case, I'm just really delivering more so like SEO data and metrics. Like that's my part in the whole thing because they're on like Domo and they've got this whole system built out. And yeah, I'm like, okay, that's not me. I'm not building those systems, but yeah, I've had that experience.
When you're dealing with that, I mean, we'll just use the Domo one just because we happen to be a Domo partner. So
Oh,
when
okay.
you're using that, I mean, do you tend to, from your end, become more data curious? And I
Yeah,
say that because now you theoretically, well, again, we'll use the Domo one. Like you have a warehouse, you have these integrations, you have the ability to get more of it. Like, do you lean into that heavy when you have it?
absolutely. The one client in particular I'm thinking of, they have 28 locations that I do SEO for all of them, and they're all so different. They're all so different. The demographics different, the services people are booking are different. And so I'm always asking questions like, "Hey, could we get more information about this?" Or, what this when we ran this promo and people didn't fill out the form here, but they filled out the form here. Like it's very interesting. So interesting. And that specific audience really genuinely does better on Meta, which is interesting.
Hmm.
Like we're driving the traffic from an organic standpoint, but they're gathering more leads off of Meta. So,
But they are doing like Google as well.
oh yeah,
Are you are is a two-parter question. Are you taking that data that you're getting access to and feeding it back, or maybe are they feeding it back into like
Google.
Facebook Cappy and into Google and whatnot so that they're getting kind of that full circle?
Yeah, we'll take the data from Meta because this is me just guessing. It seems like people don't want to get off the doom scroll
Yeah.
lifestyle, like they're just stuck. So we'll take that data, put it into Google Ads so we can do some retargeting,
Yep.
and it seems to
Okay.
work really, really well.
So now the two-parter on that is, do you ever find yourself going like, "Ooh, if you'd start tracking this, we can like the turning from the consumer to the what if I could get you to actually start doing X, Y, or Z and track that event or do this thing so that it can go into their data layer." Do you ever find you like start playing in that side as well?
No, and I've had those thoughts, but no, never had to play on that side. But
Oh,
that
yeah, you
sounds
gotta
cool.
get over on that side. That's where it
Oh yeah.
gets real interesting.
Okay.
And the reason I kinda asked that circle there is because that to me, I mean, again, anyone who ever listens to any of my other episodes, I'm like, "You need a warehouse. You need a data warehouse. I don't care how big or small you are, you need a data warehouse." There are some that are completely affordable, and there are some that are massive enterprise scale, so it's not a cost thing. You
Yeah.
need a warehouse. I say that because, and again, from a marketing point of view, I mean, I have a plethora of other reasons why I tell them they want a warehouse, but just the marketing and the MarTech integrations alone, I'm like, when I can get full picture of all your data, not just your application database, not just your Google Analytics, I want everything. Bring
Yeah.
in your CRM and your email systems and your push notification, like bring in all of it. And we
Yeah.
start creating those models in that warehouse so that we can send that back out to Facebook Cappy and Google ads or TV streaming ads or DV360 or whatever your flavor is here. Like when we start sending that back out, I'm like, that warehouse, I mean, I always say data is the lifeblood of your company. That warehouse is the heart that is beating it. That is
Wow.
what is pushing it out there. I mean, that's where you get even those small clients, because this is where I think it's a pretty big misnomer to a lot of people. Even if you're small, and I say small, like you can be a three-person shop making few $100,000 a year. You don't have to be in these millions. You could still get a warehouse and still get these systems because if you're advertising, if you're collecting data and you didn't even think you are, but you probably are,
Mm.
you can still centralize it. And again, maybe you don't have a full data suite team and you don't have a full agency doing it, but like even the little small steps makes everybody more effective. I mean, I'm such a huge proponent of get the warehouse because now you start getting that full picture of your data.
Gosh, I need a warehouse now.
So you need a warehouse. Everybody needs a
Oh,
warehouse.
okay,
And
jeez.
I tell people they need the warehouse. I mean, ironically, we at my own consultancy have a warehouse so that we can track everything we're doing. Cause I mean, I feel like we would kind of be the snake oil salesman if we were like, you need a warehouse.
Sure.
I don't need a
Yeah,
warehouse, but you need.
no. You gotta talk the talk.
I mean, like we
Walk the
do it so
walk.
that we can model what's happening and send it back out into the ads and do everything. But again, the
Mm.
MarTech alone, I think, is where it's fascinating. But I say MarTech, I say TAM, I say like these people are like,
Huh?
man, I just want to sell this thing. Like I want to get this booking or get my Airbnb or I want to do this, like sell my service. I'm a plumber, like whatever it is. I just want to sell this thing. Like you're talking about stuff. But I think that's the problem is there's the psychological, philosophical shift on both of these of like, I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
All this AI and chat GPT is clearly trained on everything else. I don't, they probably don't use trained. It knows. They're not even using the trained language. They're like, I'm just going to relinquish all my control to that. But you get the dopamine, it's out there, you've done something, you check the box, but then you sit here and go like, but it lacked the thoughtfulness of who do you need to sell to? What is the right copy? What's the right creative? What's the right timing? I mean, timing alone. When should that ad run? Do you need to run them 24/7 or run it at 5 p.m. at night? Like, these are the things that experience tells you, and that's where the people
Yeah.
come in.
Yes, absolutely.
So, with that being said, like on your side of the execution, because again, I know you love the data side, and you need how to get you a warehouse. We'll have a talk later. Get your
Yeah,
warehouse
I'm like,
number.
oh my gosh.
But if you're on the data side of it, how much are you leaning into helping? Well, this is a weird way to ask it. Are you on the education side of that data, wanting the client to understand your full thinking on it, or do you just want them to have purview and point of view?
The latter. I want them to understand why we're doing everything we're doing, why decisions are, and just to, again, the trust factor, and to feel more confident. Like, okay, if that's, yes, I understand now what I'm looking at. I do want to increase our ad spend in this busy time of year because I understand why it's necessary. There's nothing worse than taking on a new client and you hear them telling you like, oh, the last ad agency, they would just tell us we have to increase our ad spend and we never knew why, or we never saw the difference. And maybe they didn't see the difference, but maybe they also weren't aware of it. Maybe they weren't asking questions. And so I don't want to go down that path and build that relationship and it just become the same thing. So I'm like kind of going to force them to learn a little bit when they're with me, as much as they're open to, because I think they're going to feel better at the end. I do it all the time. I have another client who purchased he purchased a, like, a, not an Airbnb property, but it's like a tiny home community type thing, and he didn't do any kind of legwork is on the digital side of things to really evaluate those assets, his website, what's his organic traffic look like, what's the ads history look like. And after a few weeks of working with him, I discover he's ranking for the completely wrong part of the state. And so explaining that to him, he's just like, "Well, fix it." And I'm like, "You don't understand. Like, these digital properties have been working for years, and it's going to take a minute to undo that, to really help search understand where you're at, who to show your stuff to." Like, and it's funny because at first he was just like, "I don't want to do this. This is crazy. They're just taking my money." And I'm like, "But I mean, yes, you're paying money, but these bookings are 100% because of these efforts." So, like,
Mm.
sometimes you gotta just like sit them down and be like, "Look, you can keep throwing in the towel and keep moving on, but you're gonna keep having the same problem until you really understand it and try to care a little bit."
So that was, to me, that's the confluence between you want the data curiosity. I mean, I think that the curiosity, I don't even say the, you don't have to say the data curiosity. They just have to be curious. Let's just kind of
Mhm.
not even slap the data part. They may not know it's data, but you're wanting to build the trust. Those almost could either groove right together and be perfect, or they just clash. Because if I'm not curious and you're forcing trust, I feel like you're just foisting your opinion on me, which is probably where they've felt, because
Well,
most people aren't trying to explain, they're just trying to dictate. No, do
yes.
this.
You're doing this because of why. Yeah, I agree.
And even if I tell you why, I didn't explain the why. Why? Well, because if I do this, it's going to grow. They may have said the why, I didn't explain the why. And I
Yeah.
think that is a philosophical conundrum that goes deeper than marketing. That is, people do more and are more highly motivated when they understand the why. Like, I will, and the understanding the why fosters the trust, and I know where you're going, and now I know why you're going there. And that puts me into the situation to be able to go, like, maybe now I don't question everything. I mean, questioning is fine, and I still welcome the questions, but now I don't have to like question almost to a combative point. I'm questioning because, like, oh, now I'm curious. And
Now I wanna
there's a
know.
tonality difference between questioning because I don't trust you versus questioning because I want to know.
Yeah,
Do you experience
absolutely.
that?
Oh, yeah, this client I'm talking about, this last example, he's been that way. Now he's just like, okay, whatever you think. Do you think we should increase the budget even more? Do you think he's like, now he's like, okay, I took the chance. I trust you. I get it. Let's lean in a little bit more and see what happens, which is great. Like, that's what you want.
Now, when you do that, I'm just curious on your own business. Actually, I'll ask it very, very plainly here, and this may lean into it. I mean, for your own sake, are you mostly getting your business via referral, or are you getting it via your own ad effort?
Referrals and organic SEO. I've never had to run ads.
See, that's beautiful.
And and
That
and I say that feeling like I feel a little sheepish about it because I've had that thought. I'm like, should I run ads so I can be in that hot seat? But I'm like, I don't need to. I've been doing SEO on my site for so long that
it's
I don't
doing
need
what it
to.
needs to do.
And
Yeah.
usually people find me and they go, I searched this and you were number one, so I called you. And I'm like, sweet. Like
Well,
that's what I want.
that ends up giving me the perfect transition because I think that's the thing. I tell so many people on our side, like, especially if you're doing brand awareness, like you're new and you're trying to get something out there, and sure, you can do the search side, but you don't have authority and you haven't been out here long enough and you're fighting another fight with someone else. I mean, there's saying this to say there's legitimate reason to run ads.
Yeah.
Not that you need to, but I'm just saying there's a legitimate reason for companies to have ran the ads. But the thing I tell them all is like, we don't want your business to be built on the back of ads
Yeah.
because that's just constant money burn. I'm not saying don't run the ads, but at a certain point, we want that to tip to go.
Right.
I want organic to be leading, ads just kind of fosters. It's fine.
I
It's the bump.
yes.
That to me is the
Nope.
thing I want them to get. But half the time I can't even get them to understand that.
Really? Yeah. I do it your hand gesture I do it all the time. I'm like, this is what we want to happen.
Yeah.
That's when we know we're winning and things are working well.
But how do you deal with people who do they even understand organic? I mean, when you're dealing with them, does that make sense to
Yes.
them?
Yeah. Especially like service providers, they get it. They see the green check, they see the sponsor, they know like, oh man, I gotta pay to play. I have a client who's been in business for 40 years and he is drowning now because every single competitor in his home service niche is advertising because you have to. Like there's no way around. The guys, the HVAC guys, the
Yeah.
plumbers, the roofers, like they don't have a
Yeah.
choice. You want to win, you're paying. That's just it. Otherwise
Yeah.
you're buried. And Google's gonna prioritize their advertisers. Like,
Well,
sorry.
it's
So
where I think it's funny. The layperson, not counting the people we're dealing with, it's the customers and clients of the people we're dealing with. So many of them don't understand what they're looking at as a sponsored ad in the
yeah.
search result, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sweet, click it." And I'm like, "Well,
Well, this guy says call him out.
yeah."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Definitely doing that." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, okay, your ad work, but they didn't even realize like that was not an organic
Yeah.
result. You may be
Yep.
ranking high, but guess who ranks higher?
Yep. Guy who's
Those
paying.
paying to play."
Yep. I
Which again,
know. So yeah.
it creates the necessary evil, which in those industries, I get it. I hate it, but I get it.
Yep. I know. I hate it
And
too. It's a bummer.
but I mean, I think if you get to the point that the brand is large enough that they can do that tipping point on the organic, I mean, what that boils down to, that's why I mentioned like that brand awareness. It's when you get the brand recognition,
Oh yeah.
which is where that's when I think it really starts to become powerful and the organic truly takes on the more life of its own.
And I think honestly that's my favorite part about SEI entering the chat, if you will, because previous to AI, we were dealing with like rent to rank sites, keyword heavy domains that were just creating a lot of confusion. Like, sure, they might be working, getting some leads coming in, but the brands that are winning now are doing an excellent job of being cohesive on all their channels. They're on social, they're on their business profile, they're on their, and they're doing the work everywhere. And I think those brands that are real are really showing up strong. And I hope it stays that way because in the sea of mess of AI generated crap out there, it's nice to see those really strong brands like really coming through at the finish line.
I don't think I asked this. Do you with your firm, do you do the organic side as well?
Mhm.
Like fostering all the more just generic social media and keeping the message and the narrative
Yeah.
alive?
Well, I tell my clients I offer some SEO strategy for their social, but I like to do it in collaboration with them. I don't think an offsite SEO, this is just me. People might think I'm crazy, but I don't think you can do an excellent job at helping with social without someone there. Like that's a part of the actual day-to-day team. How? I don't see how. I mean, I have an SEO gal and she's dependent on me getting all the content and going through and making sure that there is a strategy and the captions are saying what they need to say. So my pages show up organically in the search on social. So
Oh,
it's weird. I don't want to say I'm like a social media manager because I'm not, but I definitely try to apply that. And I have a little like PDF course thing I made for my clients. And I'm like, share this with your internal team. Like they need to do all of these steps. When you guys grab the phone and make a reel of something silly happening in the office, please follow these steps when you post your whatever, your reel video, whatever.
yeah, that's powerful. I used to say this when I was doing more of the like not the CEO, but the C-suite thing, like a CTO or CPO of things. I'd be like, it's fine, but we want strategy in-house. We can outsource execution, but we want strategy in-house.
Oh yeah.
I can't give strategy outside. That they're not in here and knowing what's pivoting and changing day to day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. The real stuff. Otherwise it just becomes boring. No one's reading that stuff. Like no one cares. Like it's got to be the day to day. I think like when I jump on and I record myself sharing a real story of something that happened to a real customer, those videos get so much engagement. Those are the ones people are like, "Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. I was in a similar situation." Like you can't send that out to some social media person to do. It's
well,
just not
that's
going to
the
hit.
authenticity that I think where I was alluding to, like that has that soul. That's where you go, like,
Yeah.
oh, I see me in that problem.
Yeah.
I've experienced that. Like I was there. That was me. Oh, I love this. Like that's where you get the I can relate moment.
Yep.
Stuff from AI. I mean, you're like, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I'm not saying it's all, but I mean, it's more spaghetti on the wall. Something might stick, but it's like,
Exactly. Yeah. Or it gets your wheels turning and you're like, "Oh, actually, I could turn that into something that's relatable to a situation I had." So it's a great tool for that, I think. Just helping us in our brains that are overloaded because we're all doing way too much to try to just keep the wheels turning.
well, and I think that's kind of the thing. The entrepreneurs of today, I'll say it this way. I learned this the hard way, and I naively, in the last few years, really came to embrace it. But CEO means chief everything officer of a small company, and I love it and I hate it all at the same time. But the problem with it is, as the CEO of the company, I think the biggest powerful thing that we can do is know where our limitations are and know where we need legitimate help. And I say that that's true whether you're hiring and growing and scaling or you need to outsource stuff, but you got to know where the limitations are because otherwise you're you're almost just doing busy work and it's not going to have the outcome you want.
And you never get to tap into that really true creative mindset that got you going in the first place. I noticed that for myself. It's the first thing to leave when I feel overwhelmed. Like all my cool, unique ideas are just mush.
Well, uh not for it to go too terribly psychologic, but I mean, when you do that and you get so overwhelmed, I think Brene Brown calls it like when you get blown, like you're just blown.
Yeah.
Creativity and strategy is out the door because you almost get into fight or flight and you get very tactical. And
Yeah.
it's just the way we're wired.
Yeah.
And and you start going, but the downside of being tactical is checking off the tactics feels good.
Yeah, because you're obsessed with that. That's your thing now. It's your hobby.
And
Yeah.
that's what you're doing. I'm checking off the list, but am I
Yeah.
really getting the momentum and moving? And for that matter, doing the thing, as you said at the outset, I originally even wanted to do this for.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, Amber. I know we got to be sensitive to time here. I so thankful that you could be on the episode. Do me a favor, let people know where they can find you online, however you'd like anyone to get in touch with you, because I would love for them to be able to meet you.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. This was great. This was a really fun conversation. My website is theactivemedia.com, and on there you'll find links to my socials and my newsletter. I try to share weekly digestible tidbits on how to better understand SEO, as I kind of feel like SEO is like everything to starting your online growth journey.
I love it. I love it. Well, guys, you heard it. SEO is everything. So thanks for another episode of Bridging the Gap. Thank you, Amber.